What's up, YouTube? We are doing our podcast. So, we're going to start doing more of them. I got a lot of requests to come into the podcast. So, before I bring out Gavin as well, I'm going to show you his intro. You guys know I do custom intros. So, this is going to be a fun time. So, if anyone wants in on this podcast, feel free to message me. I'm scheduling people. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. 500 subscriber giveaway. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the channel, guys. Doing a pair of het pieds with car reptiles. He's going to be doing that giveaway with free shipping. So without further ado, here's Gavin's intro. Then we'll bring out Gavin, guys. What's up, Gavin? How are you, man?
How's it going, Glenn? You okay?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to bring the UK to the podcast. I'm excited for this. So
it's definitely an honor.
Oh, yes, it's an honor for me, man, for sure. So, obviously, if you haven't followed Gavin, you guys know that he works with the Orange Bang a little bit. I mean, quite a bit. So, we're going to talk about that right now. As well as, first, I want to know, like, a little bit of your background and your story, obviously. So, like, how did you first start into ball pythons, man?
Well, it's going back a bit now, but basically, I've always been into reptiles and stuff. And for those who don't know, my trade is a mechanic, so working on cars. And there's Mel. Good evening, Mel. Yeah, so I started fixing my mate's car, and he sort of worked at a reptile shop. So he started paying me in snakes. So
really?
It became, yeah. So
that's nuts.
Yeah, I started repairing his car, and he started paying me in reptiles, basically. So yeah, it stemmed from there. I got to the point where I used to phone him up and say, "Do you need any work doing on your car? Like, Mark, do you want any work doing? Just to try and get some more snakes or more reptiles." So yeah.
That is nuts. So was he paying you like ball pythons and stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, they had a number of stuff like boas and other stuff like king snakes, but for me, I was just infatuated with ball pythons. So that was around about 2000, 2001, something like that. And then I started doing a bit of research. I saw a bumblebee in a book, in like a keeper's, like how to keep ball pythons book sort of a thing.
Okay.
And it said underneath, produced by Nerd. And I was like, Nerd? Who's Nerd? Like, didn't have a clue. This is like 2003, 2004 at this point. Then I went straight on to, Google, started looking at stuff.
Right.
And they didn't have YouTube. YouTube didn't come out till 2006. And lo and behold, I found Ralph Davis reptiles, which, for those who don't know, Ralph back in the day was the king, or known as the king of ball pythons. And yeah, it sort of went from there, and I got onto the, king snake forums, onto the RDR forums, ballpython.net, Reptile Radio, Bush League Breeders Club. All the American sites was what I was sort of picking up on, So yeah, that's long and short of it, really.
That's interesting. So, so would you say that the UK? I mean, obviously, is the UK behind the United States? Would you say?
I would say they used to be, or we used to be. Yeah, I think now what we are, or what I'm trying to do over here in the UK, is kind of educate people into being like boutique breeders.
Okay.
Instead of mass production, concentrate on a project
Right.
really hone in on that project. And what we're finding at the moment is a lot of American breeders and Canadian breeders are actually buying from the UK. So like Justin's just been over and brought from some breeders over here in the UK. So if Justin's coming over and buying snakes from here, it's got to be happening for a reason.
That's very true. So, so I'm gonna get a little bit into your Orange Bane project and stuff like that as well. So how did you discover that? Like, did you bought into that, correct?
Yeah, so a good friend of mine, Luke Mills from Mills Pythons, contacted me and said, Gav, have you seen this orange bang? And I was like, no, not seen it. And he sent me a picture and I was like, dude, that's amazing. I didn't think it was a super orange dream or anything to do with Orange Dream, but it was just on another level. And I was like,
Right.
wow. And then I phoned him up and we were talking and he was like, yeah, it's from this breeder, Sterling Nelson, over in the States. And I was like, why is no one else working with this? Like, why is this so untapped?
Right.
And then he said to me, Gav, there's a super. And I was like, what? I thought that was the super. And he went, no. That's just a single gene. He said, this is a super. And then when I saw a super, that was it. Game, set, match. I got straight on Morph Market, straight on. Well, actually contacted. Oh dear.
You're all right.
Okay, mate. Sorry about that. So contacted. Turn that down.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Good boy.
Is he gonna take over Balls of You in the future?
Oh, hopefully. Say hello. Say hello, Lakai. Hey. I contacted Sterling and I said, look, how many, what's this orange bang all about? And he said, well, and he went in, he sent me some pictures. And then I said because we were only interested in buying one animal.
Right.
He said, I said, how many animals have you got left? He said, I've only got 5 left. I went, I'll take all 5.
Oh, you took all 5 of the Orange Bang.
Yeah.
So you went all in on the Orange Bang pretty much.
Yeah, because I have quite a keen eye with genes, and when I saw it, I was like, this is really different. And obviously, I'm good friends with Oz from Ozzy Boyd's.
Right.
So I reached out to Ozzy and I said, Ozzy, what's your thoughts on this? Have you seen this? And he said, yeah, he knows Sterling. Sterling's a good guy. And we talked over some stuff. And he said, it doesn't look like Orange Dream because obviously it has very similar characteristics.
Right.
And I said, yeah, but Oz, it just does different stuff. And he said, yeah, 100%. He said, if he wasn't so involved in Orange Dream, obviously, because Ozzy's been going, 22 years now?
Yeah, he's been going for a long time with the Orange Dream. Like most of the stuff that you buy from him is going to be, you can almost assume it's going to have OD in it. You know what I mean? So like, if he's sitting there telling you that the Orange Bang isn't like OD, like that's pretty, that's a reliable source for sure.
Yeah, and then so between me and Luke, we brought all 5 animals off Sterling Nelson that he had left, and they included like a super bang, bang het clowns, bang het pieds. Son, can you just let Uzi out for daddy? Let Uzi, good boy. And for me, it was just a no-brainer, Well, Ozzy actually helped me import the orange bang. Sorry, just bear with me 1 minute.
Oh no, you're good.
So I'll do. Come here, monkey boy. So Ozzy helped me import the orange bang, and he actually had the chance to actually see the bangs in person.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So he actually saw them firsthand, and he was like, Gav, these are not Orange Dream. And I said, well, I'm not being, I've worked with Orange Dream. All my Orange Dream came from Ozzy. My high OD stuff come from Ozzy,
Right.
So I kind of knew that it just wasn't from what it was making, what I could see. It just wasn't. And Ozzy saw them, and he messaged me with a picture of the super in his hand, and he went, "Dude, this isn't Orange Dream." And he was like super excited, you know.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I'd be pretty excited too.
Sorry,
No, you're good, man.
parent duties is the
No, you're
struggle
good.
is real, you know.
You're all good, man. You're fine.
So yeah, so when he sent me a picture of that, and I called him up, I said, "What do you think?" And he said, "They're not Orange Dream." And I said, and he sort of said, you know, if he wasn't where he was, he would invest in it. The problem Ozzy's got is he's the Orange Dream king, you know. It was
Right.
his gene. So it's very similar in certain ways, but I don't think it'll be a Lilac. They have made, Sterling has made the Dream Bang, which is nothing like a Super Orange Dream, and it's nothing like a Super Bang.
Okay.
So we know it's not the same thing. Now, that animal is a male, and hopefully Sterling will breed it this season. And yeah, we'll see whether or not it's a Lilac. But I don't think it's going to be a Lilac. I think it's going to be a Lilac with something stupid like, I don't know, like cinnamon or chocolate, or you know what I mean. It's like spot nose and chocolate are a Lilac. Who thought that
Right.
would be a thing, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, you could kind of see the characteristics of the you know, kind of chocolate and the spot nose, like, you know, besides it being you know, like the pattern morph and stuff like that. I mean, but I mean, it is pretty crazy. Like, you know, I
yeah,
wouldn't think that, you know, that would be a Lilac too. I mean, like Wookiee, you know, like Car Reptiles, like, I don't know if you follow too much on my channel or not, but he works a lot of Wookiee, and Wookiee's honestly like a Lilac to a lot too, and it's kind of surprising.
yeah. I think we've still got a lot to learn. I just want to give a quick shout out to all your viewers who've tuned in tonight. I want to thank everyone, especially
Thank
those
you,
in the UK. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of genes out there we still need to work with, like Wookiee, chocolate, you know, spot nose and chocolate. They have similar traits, but they look completely different. So you'd think, you wouldn't think that they would be Lilac, but they are,
right?
you know.
That's
Black
crazy.
pastels, yeah, black pastel cinnamon, you would say look very similar. So you'd think
Right.
they'd be a Lilac, which they are, or compatible. So it's going to be interesting to see the Bang. And when I was speaking to Sterling, you know, in the early days, and we were talking about the name of the
Right.
project, and I was like, Sterling, you know, I think the name could do with being changed. I said it's not that it's a bad name. I said, but because
Right.
it looks very similar to Orange Dream, and then we've got the word orange at the front.
Yeah. I mean,
You know, so
I get what you're. Yeah. I mean, I get what, because like when you first, I remember watching your first video with the Orange Dream, and I thought, like, you know, orange, you know, stuff like that. You know, I'm like, well, is it similar to Orange Dream? I'm like, I can see the difference in it. You know, like you get more. I don't know. It's just different. I mean, you can just
yeah,
tell. And then, like when you sit there and you said that you talked to Ozzy, like, and, like, you know, like he's, you know, the commander in OD, and like,
yeah,
oh, it's not OD at all, or like, you know. So I mean, I get what you're saying for sure. Like it's different. Like I think you get
yeah,
more. I think you get more oranges in the Orange Bang than you do the ODs.
yeah. It's more. Thanks. Sir. It's more gold. Like when you look at it closer, you get a lot more gold color from the belly
Right.
going upwards. And shut the door, son. Shut the door. And I would have called it. I was talking to Mel from MJ Designs, and I would have called it something like Midas. You know, like Midas touch turns
Right.
everything gold. The Midas gene, because it does turn a lot of things gold. And for me, you know, Sterling then come back. He was a bit like, no, I'm happy with the name. And I was like, look, it's your project. I totally get it. And then he come back and he was like, look, I think we're going to just shorten it to Bang. And I said, yeah, that's cool. You know, we'll keep it. You know, it's up to you. It's your project. You know, so the project now being called Bang is sort of where it's at. So yeah.
So I got a great question for you. So Will brings up a great question because I've talked to Antoine over in Canada. I've had him on the podcast as well, and I've seen his cantaloupe in person, and I mean it's pretty orange and stuff. I mean, do you think that? So Will asked, do you think that Orange Bang and the cantaloupe are going to be a lilac?
I've not seen Antoine's cantaloupe, so I don't know.
You didn't see it at Tinley?
No.
Oh, really? Because he had it at Tinley and stuff like that. Like it was pretty intense. I mean, his cantaloupe gene, like I like it, and I like the orange, but I think what the difference between the cantaloupe and the Orange Bang is you get more of the flaming on the cantaloupe than you do the Orange Bang.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see because I know there's a few big breeders in America. When I was over at Tinley, obviously I met you there, and there's a few big breeders over there who are working with Bang quietly underground.
Right.
And there was a couple of Bangs on display. Bang for me is one of those heavy hitting morphs, you know, the super. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I saw when you posted the super, I was amazed by the super. I'm like, that's what told me that the super Orange Dream was different from the super Bang.
Yeah, I mean, I've got super Orange Dreams here. I've got super Orange Dreams here, and they're about the same look as a normal Bang.
Okay, right.
So that'll give you some comparison. You know, a normal Bang is almost like a super Orange Dream in its looks and its appearance.
Okay, got it. So like, so your super Bangs like now have you know? Okay, I know you said that you had a high intensity OD.
Yeah.
Do you think like it's similar to high intensity OD compared? Like, have you seen like the super high intensity OD?
Yeah,
similar to the super Bang.
No, again, it's different. The high intensity has a different pattern, and Ozzy kind of shot himself in the foot when he said this, and he agreed with me that when he used the comparison with high OD, high OD looks like a super Orange Dream. That was kind of him just loosely terming what a high OD looks like.
Okay, gotcha.
In fact, it's a high intensity Orange Dream is completely different. It's a pattern changer as well as a color enhancer.
Right.
So it's almost like it is a mutated Orange Dream with a different pattern. It changes it. The colors are a bit more intense. Now, a lot of people would expect a high intensity Orange Dream to look better than a normal Orange Dream, when in actual fact, it's not. There are some high ODs and some ODs which look on point. They are different because the patterns are different, yeah. But right. the color gradient is very similar. So high OD really deserves its own lane away from OD. It almost as if it needs to be its own gene, which it is in my collection. I treat it as my own. Now, there's a lot of people who use high OD as just OD.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I feel there's like different levels. So you've got OD, high OD, and then then you start stacking your supers. Because a high OD leopard looks different to an OD leopard, for example.
Right.
So to understand the genes and keep them separate, which is something Ozzy obviously over the years has crossed and made like a super with a single dose high OD, as he calls it. So we'll make a super orange dream, but it will have a single dose high OD, which is good because you can
Right.
make something a little bit in between. That animal now, even though it's a super, it will throw OD and high OD, which I think it makes that animal an allelic animal. So it's not actually a super, it's an allelic animal.
Right.
But
Do
again,
you
more
have like
breeding needs to prove that out.
do you have an OD, orange bang combined? I had that question in the chats and stuff. So like, have you combined the two?
Yeah, so Sterling Nelson did a dream bang, which was he bred a bang to a super orange dream, and there was 4 eggs, and in there was 1 dream bang. And that dream bang, as Sterling calls it, is neither a super orange dream or a super bang. It's
Okay.
something in between.
Huh. That's interesting. Did he post a picture of that on Instagram?
Yeah, I think he has. Yeah,
Did
yeah.
he?
He's come off.
I'm gonna have to
He's
check that out.
he's come off Instagram at the moment, but I think you'll find it more on his Facebook.
Oh well, okay, yeah, I'll definitely check into that for sure. So besides the orange bang, like I know that. I mean, congratulations! I saw that you're working your new under the drawers. I think it is on YouTube.
What's it? Yeah. So I started doing a series called "What's in Your Drawers,"
Yeah, that's what it
as
was.
in
Yeah,
like holdbacks. Because a lot of the times we hold back animals and we don't really show them off. So whether they be sort of, some of them are obviously amazing snakes, and then some of them aren't quite as amazing looking, but they're
right.
quite powerful.
But they're powerful with your heads,
Yeah.
double head, triple heads.
Yeah. Yep.
'Cause I don't know if you watched. It was Canova. It was Justin's video. He was explaining. I don't remember what he was explaining or whatever, but he was like, "Here's an it was the mandarins. It was the mandarin video. He's like, here's a mandarin compared to our normal. I mean, even though the normal is a quad head, like go figure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun, but
Yeah. So I did a podcast with Derek's Reptiles the other night, and we spoke about the mandarin. And I don't want to hate on the project because I'm not a hater. Okay.
right.
If you're working with a project, more power to you. I hope you really do well, whatever. I don't hate on people for working with projects. But what really bothers me is when I see people spend big money on animals which aren't what they are.
Right.
And that's just because I care. I don't want to see
Oh yeah,
people
for
get
sure.
mugged off. But there are mandarins that are being sold, or normals being sold as mandarins.
And you can see the difference. Like if you know what you're looking for on the mandarins, because after that and stuff, I went on Morph Market and I was really looking at them. I'm like, okay, that's a mandarin combo. That's not a mandarin combo. I mean, you can obviously tell because you get more of that maroon, looking on the mandarins and stuff like that, like Justin was saying. And I mean, there's a big difference on it. I mean, there is. So
Yeah, I mean, there was some mandarin clowns being sold for like $8,000, and you're like, what? Like $8,000 for a mandarin clown that wasn't even a mandarin clown?
yeah, that's crazy.
Now, don't get me wrong; it could be a mistake by the breeder. And
Right.
again, if you're going to buy into a project, my advice would always be try and go as close as possible to the source. So let's say, Glenn, you'd got a morph, and I was interested because it was a good looking morph.
Right.
And you said to me, Gav, I've got this direct from the breeder. Okay, that's not a problem because I can see the quality.
For sure.
Yeah. The thing that I try and advise people is if you're going to work with a project and spend big money, ask questions.
Oh yeah.
How do you know that's a mandarin? Can you prove it's a mandarin? Yeah, it
Well,
came from a super. Oh, okay. Well,
right.
where did the super come from?
Or like,
Super.
do you have a picture of the super? Like, let me see the picture of
Yeah.
that super. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because like I bought, obviously I don't know if you know or not, but like obviously like, I got a zebra, and zebras aren't cheap right now.
No.
And I got it directly from Adam. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, So like I knew it was a legit zebra. I mean, it just looked legit. You know,
And
so I mean like
not only that, if Adams genuinely made a mistake, you
right.
know, he will sort you out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know he's going to go, well, I'll tell you what, Glenn, don't worry about it. I've got another zebra growing up. Bring it back. I'll swap it round. You know,
Yeah.
and that's another reason why going direct to source is going to serve you purpose, because you're investing in the project directly from that person.
Yep.
Now, you know, it doesn't mean that always comes to fruition. You know, you haven't always got to go direct to source, but with stuff like the mandarin, white lace is another one, or lace, should I say, is another one. You know, there's people who are selling laces that aren't laces,
Right.
and it's difficult. And I understand, and not everyone has the ability to see the genes. Like I can see the difference between asphalt and yellow belly,
Oh,
and
can
I've
you?
proved it. Yeah, I've proved that. So not everyone has that unique eye, you know. So it kind of, you've got to do your research. You've got to be vigilant, and some people just can't see it, and that's fine. If you struggle with seeing a single gene, buy the super. You'll have no
Right. Sure.
questions of what's going on. You know.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you for sure. Like, if you see, you know, and you can't really go wrong with a super because you go breed it like pretty much damn well that everything's going to be this gene if you buy that
Yeah.
super. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit
Exactly.
more. It's a little bit more expensive, but I mean, in the long run, if you really want that in the project, it's going to work
Yeah.
out for you.
Well, I brought from Aussie I brought a bunch of animals at the time. I brought an ivory cypress male, and I brought an ivory Enchi OD female, and I brought a cypress, either yellow belly or ashfold. Now, when I saw it on pictures, I said to Oz straight away, I said, Oz, that's not yellow belly. That's got to be ashfold. And he said, Gav, I don't know. I can't be 100% certain. I'm selling it as a either or. And I was
Right.
like, okay. I said, that's fair enough. He didn't change the price, even though I didn't see yellow belly. So the only other option, because it come from a Mardi Gras, the only other
Oh, okay.
option, the only other option was ashfold. And I said, okay, I'll have it. You know, there were hatchlings. He didn't charge me any extra, but I just knew it wasn't. You could see it wasn't. And sure enough, she's proved out. There is a massive amount of difference. And when I've got like, so from that Cypress ivory male, I've produced obviously Cypresses, everything's yellow belly. Yeah.
Right.
So when you hold my Cypress yellow belly next to the Cypress asphalt, you can see it's night and day.
That's
So when you're hatching stuff, you get an opportunity to compare stuff and go, actually, I'm seeing a difference.
that's like with the same quads and stuff too. Like, yeah, depending, like, if you go head to visual, with your genes, like you can see what has cypress in it, what doesn't. Yeah, I see what you're saying. What's the difference between, like you say, like between the yellow belly and the asphalt? I'm not into the asphalt project personally. I know Cart is. So do you have
Mm-hmm.
any tips like to, ID a asphalt from a yellow belly? Like where you can see the
Yeah.
difference?
Yeah, so I'd say it's easy. First of all, the yellow belly will try and, so if you've got like two alien heads like this,
Okay.
yeah, normally yellow belly will try and push them apart, and the flames will
Oh,
come up the middle. Yeah,
yeah.
asphalt won't. Asphalt will keep them together, and
Okay.
asphalt will be uniformed. It will keep the pattern uniformed. When you get yellow belly, you may have an alien head which looks like this and an alien head which looks like that.
Right. But it's
Yeah,
separated, right?
yeah.
And then
So it's
asphalt
really,
asphalt will bring it together, correct?
yeah, asphalt will make it like close together. So you'll have like uniform pattern. So alien head, they won't be joined up, but they'll be separated but close. Yellow
Okay.
belly will bring them further apart. And the other thing is yellow belly will make this alien head bigger or elongated, and this one will stay narrow. The pattern is never uniformed. The other thing you'll see is the color. So on a yellow belly combo, and we can take pastel, for example, a yellow belly pastel looks better. Pastel looks
Right.
better with yellow belly. With asphalt, it makes it look worse. So it looks dark, muddy, dirty. Them are the ones which are the asphalt.
Right. So Carr had a question. So he said, "Is it the same with gravel? Like, do you see like the
Yeah,
same characteristic? Yeah, it's the
yeah,
same with gravel
yeah,
then, because
yeah,
like it's
yeah.
like the same complex and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I kind of get myself in trouble because normally after these sort of lives, I'll get people send me messages going, Gav, I'm about to buy this from Morph Market. It's saying it's yellow belly or asphalt. Can you help me ID them?
Right.
And I'm like, but yes, it's, and when people come here and I show them the difference and I go, look, this is a yellow belly cypress. This is an asphalt cypress. It's night and day. I've got some, I kept back some asphalt het clowns and some pastel asphalt het clowns. And you okay, son? No.
He said,
And
"No."
yeah, he's tired. And
Yeah, it's late
come
over
here.
there.
I want something to eat.
Okay, I'll do some in a minute. Come here. And like the animals are quite bright, but the reason why they're quite bright is because they're het clown. So you've also got to take the
The
het
head in consideration
into
with
consideration.
that,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And so you've got to understand that when you're working with hets, you've got to know their traits. Like het ultramales tend to be a bit more like a sort of an orange hue to them, or they have lots of blushing. There's different traits for different things, and that's what you've got to kind of understand as well when you're working with these genes, that the hets could really throw the morph off. So
Correct.
again, comes down to experience with hatching the single gene or hatching something with a het form,
Yeah, because you can see like for DG, for example, you can see the difference between like a 100% het DG, say whatever, compared to a regular, single gene or combo that morph. Like you can see that's a little bit cleaner, it's a little bit brighter, but obviously it's not, the visual. But I mean, you can tell it's there. That's even like when you're 66% pos DGs, because I have a super. It was a super banana chocolate hypo 50% het DG girl sitting in my rack. But
nice.
yeah, but like with the 50% het DG, I noticed that she's different from, cause I have a lot of hypo, so I work with a lot of like hypo DG stuff. And
Yeah.
I can tell that she's a little bit different because she's a little bit cleaner, she's a little bit brighter-ish, I think she has that one copy of that DG because she looks a little different. I mean, it makes a difference. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And obviously with the genetic testing now, they're testing the yellow belly complex, they're testing the het complex stuff. It's going to make it a lot more, I wouldn't say less fun. It will make it more exciting because like now you notice this and you can send off that shed. And if it comes back and if your theory on the ID and what you're looking for is correct, you can now look at the other animals from that clutch and go, actually, now I've got a marker, and these markers kind of correlate with these animals. So it's a lot of people when they were talking about genetic testing was very, it's going to take the fun out of it. And look,
kind of does, but I mean, at the same point in time, like for sure, like what you're, what you get and stuff like that. So, I mean, at the same point in time, like I mean, I know it's shitty to say because you got those sketchy people out there, those sketchy breeders and stuff. But if they go get it, test it, it doesn't prove out, say het clown, they can still list it as POS or 66% clown when they know it's not going to improve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's going to be
That's the pretty part about it.
Yeah. I mean, there is something going on Morph Market. We had John Lehman on as a guest on a Patreon live that we did, and he spoke about some way of linking the genetic testing to that animal. So if that animal goes up for sale, people will have access to that information.
Oh, okay. So that's good to know then.
Yeah,
sure.
but it is still then, ultimately you are still
guessing. You hope that they're trustworthy and stuff like that. You're still taking their word for it, right?
Yeah. But if you think about it now, reputation, we've built this hobby, the underground thing isn't there anymore. It's now based on reputation. Is that one animal worth your reputation? Because if you're found out to lie, it takes a long time to build up a reputation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It only takes a second to smack it. Yeah,
it's taken me a long time to build, my YouTube channel, my Instagram and stuff like that. I mean, it's in the podcast and whatnot, like to have people like yourself and bigger breeders come on and talk to me and stuff like that. And I don't want to sit there and base my reputation off of one snake or whatever. Like if I messed up, I'm gonna make it right with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I did have a quick question though from Will. I like to answer people's questions and stuff when I do these.
Yeah. Go for it.
So Will said, "Have you seen Earl's Yellow Belly Complex Access? And if so, what are your thoughts on it?"
Yeah, so I spoke to Earl about that. I have saw it. We have something similar to that over here. So for those who probably don't know, there's two lines of yellow belly, as in, okay, no, not two lines. There's two mutations.
I know bling, the bling or whatever is similar to yellow belly as well.
Yeah, so there's I'll just differentiate. So you've got lines like the bling, you've got the goblin, you've got certain yellow belly lines, and then you've got actually mutation. So there's actually two mutation forms of yellow belly. Okay, so to get the lines, like gravel, like asphalt, there's two mutations of yellow belly. Okay. Now both make ivories, but both look different in their single form. And when you then put a yellow belly, that yellow belly to a pastel and that yellow belly to a pastel, the combos will look slightly different. So until Earl gets that tested, to find out what part of the yellow belly complex it's on, it's going to be interesting to see what he does with it. Now, I believe his fire line, which is the LSR fire, is far superior to his access.
Okay.
And that's me because I've seen him in person. Justin has saw the access, and I have, and they don't look like your typical regular yellow belly. But they do make very similar looking animals to an ivory.
But it's slightly different. But you could tell the difference. So that's like the same thing. Like we were having a conversation earlier before you got on here, like in the chats and stuff, like between your confusion and acid. Like I think that like your acid and confusion are similar, but I think that they're slightly different because I think an acid gives a higher expression than a confusion does. I don't know. Like what do you think on that?
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but the acid and confusion, you're exactly right. The acid gives a better
expression
than the confusion,
especially in clown.
Yeah,
I really noticed it in clown.
There's three animals: confusion, acid, and the static. The less crazy looking one, or the banded one, went
Right.
into Europe. Yeah,
Yeah.
went
Because
into Europe.
and yeah, your acid and stuff is like you get the higher expression, you get that drip on it, you get more
Yeah.
banding, and the confusion is more, it's a little bit cleaner. It's not as busier look, but it's
Yeah,
busy. But
it looks more like Enchi.
It's slightly different.
Yeah. So, and again, here's the thing: if you want to make Enchi combos, you want to use the confusion gene because it looks more Enchi looking. It's banded.
Right. I don't like
It's gonna,
NC in either of them. I think it ruins it.
yeah, it's gonna complement it. But the
Right.
acid, you want to go busy like spot nose,
Yes.
or you know what I mean, as busy as possible. Chocolate, you want to throw that in. The acid is very, very like it just makes for a busier pattern.
For sure.
Those three animals. I don't know if I can say this, but they came from the same clutch.
Did they? So you think your static, your confusion, and your acid kind of came from your same clutch type shit? That's
They were mutations. It wasn't like a leopard breeding,
Right.
They did just pop up. But I know there was three, and the
But
three
then
got separated.
they just got their own name and stuff like that. Because here, so I picked this up over at Tinley at I got it from Kittner from Jason. So I picked up an acid clown girl. So I'm gonna show you guys what acid clown looks like real quick. So hang on, give me a second. So unfortunately, I do my podcast in my snake room, you guys. I know Gavin's not in the snake room right now, but it's okay. So here's what acid clown looks like. And you get that busier pattern, those drips on it and stuff. And that's what I'm saying, like a little bit different on it, like especially in clown. I mean, she's a really good expression of it. And I absolutely, love her for sure.
Yeah.
But I would definitely like to bring you back on the podcast when you get a chance in your snake room as well. So we can see the thing for sure.
My acid stuff, I picked up a pastel ivory acid from Josh Jensen, again from Source.
Right.
And I had no idea what the acid looked like in that animal because obviously it was an ivory, But the animals it produce is nothing like the confusion. Nothing like it.
Right.
So if you're working with confusion or acid, I would highly recommend, or you're working with both, keep them separate. And you will see the difference.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Again, they may have come from the same clutch. It doesn't make them the same gene.
Right.
Okay. The acid for me is the superior, and I don't mean that in a horrible way. I mean it in a way that it's a superior gene. The way it makes and busies the combo, like your clown, you can clearly see. That's not like a confusion.
A fusion clown, right? Correct. So do you think that it's the same thing, kind of like with Monarch and Ultramel? Do you think that like Monarch, like the Ultramel, is more of a knockoff version of the Monarch because the Eric, the one that got me into this, like breeding ball pythons and stuff, we were talking about this the other day. That Monarch, is a slightly different. You get more purples and stuff like that in the Monarch than you do the Ultramel. Like, what do you think about it?
So it's a bit like albino and lavender.
Okay.
You've got albino and you've got lavender albino. It just depends what you want to work with. I mean, I'm a massive advocate of Ultramel.
Right.
But I also have Patreon members who are massively into Monarch, and I help them with their projects and where to take that, like in different channels, in different ways, you know.
Oh, for sure.
So for me, the Monarch is a great project. It's got a different look to it, like Ultramal's got a different look to it. I feel the Noah line of the Ultramal is the better line than the Kreidler line because there's two lines.
So I didn't know that there was two lines of Ultra. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so back in the day, Eric Kreidler was a breeder, and before the Ultramal, everyone was going mad on Caramel. Caramel was the thing. It was like, wow, it was like Hypo, Hyde, and Caramel were the things, you know.
Candinos pretty much too, right?
Well, yeah, but before that, before the candy got found and the toffee, before that got
right.
found,
Your Candinos are your toffee and stuff. That's right. For some stupid reason, I thought that they were the Ultra. Yeah,
yeah.
Right,
So the caramel gene was like, wow, it's amazing. And then they started seeing this kinking thing. Well, Eric Kreidler had this line of caramel that wasn't kinking. And Eric was going, well, mine are okay. So everyone moved over and was kind of wanting to still work with caramel, but they wanted the Kreidler line caramel. Anyway, someone took a het caramel from Kreidler line and bred it to a het caramel. Nothing came out.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't compatible with caramel. And then someone else took it and bred it to Ultramal, which Ultramal then came out because they found Ultramal and caramel wasn't compatible.
Right.
And then they bred the Eric Kreidler line to the Noah line of Ultramal, and it was compatible. So straight away, Eric Kreidler changed the caramel to Ultramal. So it's now the Ultramal Kreidler line, if you like, Kreidler line of Ultramal.
That's interesting. I didn't know. That's interesting, man. So I didn't know that.
Yeah. So with Eric Kreidler line, Eric's line of Ultramal, it looked very caramel looking. Okay. It looks very caramel looking. And what's kind of sad is that some people, again, sell certain animals as what they're meant to be, not meant to be at the time. So if the caramels are taking a dip, they'll sell them as Ultramals or het Ultramals. Yeah. What I've seen with the Monarch has deep maroons, deep purples. And if you're going to work with Monarch, you want a great example. But I have seen some people selling Ultramals as Monarchs. And again,
you can tell, right? There's that slightly difference of the tones, and you can tell. And honestly, like Monarch goes for way more than Ultimo does. So I mean that's surprising, to make that that error sometimes or whatever.
Oh yeah. And the crazy thing is that people aren't doing the research.
Right.
They're just taking it at face value and going, oh, okay, yeah, I'll buy that Monarch. Where do I send my money? You're like, whoa, hang on. Are you sure it's Monarch and not Ultimo? Because it doesn't look Monarch, it looks Ultimo.
Right.
So again, that's another thing that people have got to be real sort of
careful about.
Yeah. Because they, you're spending that sort of money, you don't want to be spending it on a gene that is less of its worth.
Correct.
Now, if we look at the Coral Glow versus Banana, they are the same gene.
Yeah, but I think
they are.
I was talking to Carr about this. I think that your he has Coral Glow. I think your Coral Glow brings in more colors than the Banana does. But like you said, it's still the same gene, but it's just a different expression of it.
And again, it could be, like you said, the expression of where you get your Banana from or where you get your Coral Glow
your
from.
Quality from, correct.
Yeah, because, again, I've hatched coral glows, I've hatched bananas. I've had some bananas which look better than my coral glows, and I've had some coral
Oh,
glows
really?
look better than my bananas. Yeah. So, and I'm going to do a video on that actually this season, because I'll be able to show that as well and show people the difference, if you like, because like I said, I've hatched them before and they look very similar. And it's not, and again, I'm not saying if you've got a banana or you've got a coral glow, they're the same thing. What I'm kind of saying is always respect the bloodline.
Oh yeah,
Okay, so
don't try to mix them and sell it as a
yeah,
banana, and you mix the banana and the coral glow. But like, yeah, I'm
yeah,
because I got lemon pastel and I got pastel.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like it's
So
slightly different. Like I'm not gonna sit there. I don't want to mix a pastel with a lemon pastel. I don't want to do it.
yeah,
Keep
yeah,
your
because think of it like, it's going to do that morph really good. Now, I also am an advocate of quality. Just because
I am
that's a
too,
banana,
for sure.
just because that's a banana and it's $50, and someone else has got another banana and it's $100, but it looks better.
Yeah.
Go and buy that $100
yeah.
banana, because it's going to serve you well.
Yeah, that's the same thing with, like, you see some crazy awesome expressions of spot nose on Morph Market, and then you see ones that, like, you can ID the spot nose, but it's kind of a shit fuck. It's kind of a shit quality. I mean, let's be real. But it's a little bit, it's less, but your quality of your spot nose is more. So you gotta pay for your quality, because it's gonna go into your offspring for sure.
Sure. All my spot nose stuff came from Dynasty Reptiles.
Oh,
yeah, I had a pastel spot nose from them. Came in direct into the UK, and there is not that has been the only spot nose. I've brought in other combos with spot nose, but majority of my stuff has come from that lineage, and you can't not miss it. It's there. You see, so I'm kind of, and look, people will learn by their own mistakes, and they've got to make those mistakes,
right.
And we can shout,
right.
we can shout from the rooftop, quality shines through. We can shout, buy from the source or buy as close to the source as possible. But it's only when someone goes, oh, look at this, I've got this acid, and then you go, no, this is an acid, and then they
right.
go,
And I've seen that too. You can see it, like me and Carl were talking too. Like, I got into another hypo project, which I'm not going to say what yet, because I haven't released it. But I do have a winter hold. I've been paying on stuff as a hypo, and the quality of this hypo with what it is just insane compared to what others are that are on Morph Market. And I paid a little bit more for it because I wanted that quality of that hypo, or that gene that other gene that was in it. Like, that's it's also in a recessive as well. I mean, I'll give you guys that. But I mean, it's insane. What up, Jeremy? Jeremy's gonna be on the podcast next week if he doesn't have a baby with his wife. So shout out to Jeremy. Thanks for tuning in. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's freaking, it's all about quality and stuff, because it's going to go into your offspring and stuff, man.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not in the puzzle project, but I know if I was going to.
I'm in the puzzle project.
But bro, if I was going to buy the puzzle, I'd go to Aussie. Now, when you speak to Aussie,
you got the weirdo in it though too.
There's weirdo, there's cryptic, So straight away, you've got a puzzle which looks wow, and then you got other people's puzzles which they're all right,
Yes.
But you've got to understand that the gene in this puzzle combo originally came from Sean Bradley, which also had the Atari gene floating around, which I think Aussie's called it the weirdo, but the Atari gene could have been also the cryptic that Sean had found in his stuff that came from the bells, from his original stuff. So it's so much you've got to really have an open mind. You've got to look for quality, and try and do the best job possible. Don't look with a price tag. I've always
for sure.
said that. Don't buy because of the price tag. Buy because of the animal.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because like I've been on Morph Market, slowly, because like I like the puzzle. I'm into the puzzle project. Slowly the puzzles are starting to come out more because people aren't holding them back as well. But I mean, you can see a single gene puzzle that's a good quality compared to like a lower expression. I'm just like, like I mean, me and Car's not a big fan of puzzles and stuff like that, but he's a big fan of quality, and you can see that quality difference in the price tag and stuff like that. Like if I have a higher quality, puzzle, I mean, I'm not gonna sit there. I'm not gonna lower my price on Morph Market because I want to compete. Like I'm gonna sit there because it's a good quality, puzzle. You get what you pay for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Think about it like this. You've brought the puzzle because you like it. So you want the best expression.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now, what that's going to do is that then is going to go, okay, that's going to produce me, who's your best customer, the best offspring.
Yes.
But if you produce more from that, your customers are going to definitely buy from you because they're going to come to you and go, well, why is yours $1,000 more than that guy? Why? Because mine looks like this.
Right.
You
can see it on Morph Market. Yeah, you can sit there and you can compare all day.
So you can also demand a higher price tag for your offspring.
Correct. And that's the same thing like what they say with the Canova tags, like the Justin tag. Like Justin has higher quality animals, and so therefore you're going to pay a little bit more, which, you can see it. I agree with it. I get it. Plus the name, like, hey, it came from Justin, it came from Canova. It's legit. So you get what you pay for. How I do gotta ask. I didn't ask you yet. How many snakes do you have?
I've got about 350.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
When did you start seeing a turnaround or profit, on those snakes between like what you invested as well, like on a business standpoint? Because I like to talk about a business standpoint as well for the newer breeders, people that are just getting into it, or even the older breeders, whatever, so they know. I know you're pretty big in the UK and stuff like that, so I like to see like where you stand at and stuff like that.
My collection was sustainable probably about 4 or 5 years into breeding, and at that point I kind of knew the trajectory of the collection was slowly growing and increasing. So the first time it was sustainable for me was probably 4 or 5 years into breeding.
Gotcha.
So that's very similar to like and that is me still. I'm still every year investing. I've just picked up some strangers.
So you're in the stranger project, huh?
Yeah, so I picked up some strangers from Ultimate Balls over in Ireland, Northern Ireland, and I've definitely paid a fantastic price for fantastic animals.
Oh, I bet.
So I've always held back, and me and Ozzy have spoken about this because, I know name dropped Ozzy quite a lot, but Ozzy to me is like a big brother.
Yeah, for sure.
So Ozzy and me have spoken about this, and not last year, the year before, I either invested in Sunset or into Stranger Clowns, and I went with the Sunset stuff.
So you have Sunset stuff then?
Yeah, so I've got so my Sunset male, he proved out to be 100% het ultra male. So I've got ultra male 100% het Sunsets on the shelf growing up.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. I've got double het Sunset hides, posset ultra males growing up. They'll probably be breeding this season. So I invested in Sunset because it was a recessive. So I held off the stranger. So every year I invest back into my collection.
Yes.
You know, I take out all the rodent bills. I take out anything that, equipment, all that sort of stuff. And year on year, it is sustaining itself, which is what it's all about. I try and say to people, don't look for the dollars, look for the sustainability. Is it costing you less to run your collection every year? If it is, keep doing what you're doing, because it's only going to then turn into your profit.
Yes. And that's the same thing like with Ozzy's, like I do follow Ozzy quite a bit, and that's the same thing with how Ozzy is. Like he says, you have like say 200 snakes or whatever, but you want to keep, sell your proven breeders as such, but like once your grow ups that have more genes in them, use those as your breeders and sell off, your snakes that have less, genes in them because you don't need them as much. So
it was weird because the other day I came across an email from Ozzy, and it was 2016, and it was a list of all his breeder females that he was releasing that year.
Oh, really?
That he was rotating. Dude, those females back then were like
crazy.
Yeah, like how are you releasing these animals that they're amazing? Like, and even in today's market, they would still be very powerful animals.
Right.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, you're like,
right. This is insane. But like, if you're selling this, like, what do you have holding back?
What are you? Yeah,
right
exactly,
now, bro. Like, shit.
Exactly. And it's only now that I see, like, I'm old school. If that female is proven, I don't want to sell her. She may be double het clown pied, and I've got a clown pied female breeding next to her. But because she's a female double het proven, I don't want to sell her. That's old school mentality.
Your females are valuable over your males. I agree.
And so now I'm getting to the point where I'm going, I need to let her go. I've got 3 of them. I need to let them go. I've got visuals, breeding. Why am I keeping the double hets? Let them go, So I understand now why Ozzy does what he does, but it was so hard to get out that mindset because in the UK, it's kind of like your females are so valuable, and it's probably the same in the US, but it's so difficult to let those females go,
Oh, for sure. CMJ, thank you for tuning in, man. I appreciate it. So
yeah, take care.
Take care, man. How is it like in the UK and stuff? So like, how's the market over there? Is it higher demand for them because it's less? I know you guys don't produce as much as the United States does, but like, how would you say the market is like between what you sell, or do you export more to the United States than you sell in the UK?
Yeah, I mean, the market in the UK is, believe it or not, everyone's panicking at the moment, like they are all over the world.
Right.
But the market is strong. So here's the thing. We don't necessarily mass produce, but what we do mass produce is a lot of low-end stuff, which there is a place for low-end stuff, for people getting in, wanting to start the journey, all that sort of stuff.
Pet stuff, stuff like that. Correct.
But when a lot of breeders are producing low-end stuff, the supply and demand, the supply is higher than the demand.
So you got to drop your prices and stuff like that. So it makes it look, cheaper. Because I know there's a big panic, over here in the United States, like with the recession, like, oh, the recession, the ball pythons, like, you see people that are getting out that just have, pastel head clowns, stuff like that, which I get it. They got into it, when COVID hit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, like, it's just like, you're better off making your, investing that money, for your higher end stuff that people are going to want to buy. And that's why I wouldn't say you're failing, but that's why you're not succeeding as you wish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the market, I'm still selling high-end animals.
Right.
Just before Christmas, someone brought a pair of Het Sunset Posset Ultramals off me, and they paid me a deposit just before Christmas, and then they came literally the first, I think it was the 3rd of January, and paid me the full amount.
Right.
The higher end stuff is still selling because there's not that much of it, so the demand is higher than the supply.
But the supply is low,
Yeah.
so therefore you can charge more for it. And so, yeah, it makes sense for sure, dude.
Yeah, so your lower end stuff, like my advice to people out there who are breeding, think about your pairings, and instead of doing like a clown to clown, if you've got the opportunity to do something like a clown to a DG to make those double hets, because a lot of people want double het stuff now.
Right.
Then
It's
do
cheaper.
that.
You can get your codoms in it that you want if you hit it and stuff like that. Like, I agree.
Yeah.
Because like you're, a DG clown here in the United States, I don't know what they are over there, but like you're gonna spend no less than 10 grand on it.
Yeah, which is crazy because, and here's the thing, a typical animal like that, its price tag is only short lived, because let's say everyone starts making double hets.
Right.
Okay. Where do you think we're going to be in 2 years' time? We're going to have
triple,
double,
quads,
double visuals.
Stuff like
we're
that.
Gonna have we're going to have DG clowns, and they'll be giving them away.
Oh yeah.
So that project, its price tag is short lived. Now, if you've got something like a gene, like a morph or a project, which not many people have got, then the price can stay quite high, because listen, if you want in on the bang, you've got to buy it from me or someone who's got it. You can't just go and make it.
Right.
You can't go and make it. You've got to buy into it. Whereas a DG clown, people can make them. They can go and get a DG, go and get a clown, make those hets, grow them up, breed them, make it. You've got to be real. You've got to understand that when you are buying into a project like the DG clown stuff, you've really got to be thinking careful. And everyone's gone mad for clown. Clown is a fantastic project.
Oh yeah.
It will be a stable part of our hobby in the future. But there's so many people who've gone, I don't want to breed pied or hypo or ultramal, or I want to do clown. Okay, you go and do clown.
Right.
But guess what? Everyone else is doing clown. What do you think is going to happen? You know what I mean? In a year's time, there's going to be that many clowns out there that everyone's going to, again, supply and demand. So the supply is going to be high, the demand is going to be low. So it will bring the price down.
And you're seeing that with your single gene clowns and stuff like that, because like they used to be higher dollar. Like even when I first started, buying into this and stuff like that, like I saw that like your single genes, but I went higher end because I saw that's where the money was. If you're gonna do it, I'm gonna do it for the long run, and this is the way to do it for the long run. Even though it hurts the pockets, it hurts the wallets, it's an investment. It's like the stock market. It's gonna. You gotta think, Gavin. It's gonna come back up. It's just like the stock market. Like, yeah, people are getting out of it. Supply is high, demand's low right now. There's a recession, but at some point, it's gonna switch.
So yeah,
this is the time to buy, in my opinion.
We see this every 5 years. Anyone that's been in this hobby long enough, they'll pretty much turn around and tell you it's the 5-year itch, as we call it.
Okay.
And the 5-year itch is what happens is when the road gets a bit rocky, people get itchy and go, oh,
and they bail.
I need to sell.
No, not at all.
And that's what we see typically every 5 years. And it's almost like the market resets, which it isn't a bad thing. It resets the market, because what happens is people who tend to be just in it for the money and not the passion, they tend to go, oh, it's a bad investment, let's sell everything and move on to something else. That's good.
Right. Because they're getting out. But it's like you were saying, like you spent all that time and all that money feeding those snakes, growing them up, and now you want to get out after 2 or 3 years. Like, you just grew up your females for 2 or 3 years. Like, give it a chance for a second. Do your projects and stuff. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, I agree, because like I've seen people get out, but like, like around here and stuff, like in my area too. Like, I've seen people get out that have like lesser genes. Like, I get it. It's not really it's a collection, but it's not. Yeah, like me and Carr were talking, like I consider a collection, you got a certain amount of snakes for over this amount. That's a collection. Or you just got pets, kind of,
I
or
think
you just want to get into it. Like, I'm not knocking nobody. You know what I mean?
You can
start somewhere.
You can do very well with just 20 snakes.
Right.
But they've got to be 10 powerful males and 10 powerful females in a project which is not many people are working with, and stuff that you can do something, you can create something amazing with, right? You can do very, very well. The problem is when people stay stagnant and they don't upgrade their collection, they don't hold them animals, and they go, well, look, here's a prime example. The guy who produced the special Pompeii.
Yeah, the one that was at Tinley, correct?
Yeah, next to Justin's table.
Yeah.
Now, great guy, absolutely amazing. And this isn't a knock, but this is a classic business sense. Think about this. So it's a male. It was a male. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
It was a male. Yes.
So a Pompeii, first of all, the genes are in it. Yellow belly, ivory. Okay. Black pastel, duck billing.
Right.
Okay. The supers. Yeah. Red stripe. The super's okay, but it's not that great.
Right.
Spot nose. The super's lethal.
Can't do it really because it's lethal.
Yeah. Special.
Right.
Special. That super is allelic with the other white snakes. Now, it's not a bad allelic. It's quite a good allelic. So that special Pompeii, it's kind of flawed. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. But here's the thing. He got offered $40,000 for that animal.
Holy shit. And he turned it down?
Dude, there was a desert ghost clown on Bob Vu's table. It was an Enchi pastel leopard desert ghost clown, male.
Okay.
$20,000. Right?
Right.
Dude, I would have sold that Pompeii, took that 40, brought that male, come back, banked 20, and then took that DG clown combo male and put that in its place. Because now you've just upgraded. You've banked 20 grand.
Right.
Yeah.
I see what that's a good wisdom, man. That is, I'm like not to knock them or anything, but I see where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah.
Because from a business, because you got to think you're from a business standpoint as well. Like, it's a nice animal. It looked good. I don't know if you guys went to Tinley or not. It was a great animal.
It was amazing.
It looked amazing. But if you're going to get offered $40,000 for that animal, like you said, why would you, go invest in something? Oh, pocket $20K, and you're going to be better off gene-wise on a business standpoint than anything. Because, like, you could take the other $20K, like maybe you need more racks. You know what I mean? Maybe you need another incubator for the next year. Like, from a business standpoint, yes, 100%. I see what you're saying, because people don't realize that too.
Not only has he upgraded his male that he's just produced, because it's now a DG clown, okay, but he's still got the parents that made that animal, so he could still make it again.
Right, correct,
exactly,
for sure.
So you've got to be real clever, and here's the thing, Glenn. When John Degg made the Stormtrooper, he had that for sale for $50,000.
Damn.
But dude, if you think about that, I mean, the animal is probably not reproducible.
I got to plug my laptop in real quick.
Go on.
I'm just gonna die. All right, we're good.
Okay. So John Degg had the Stormtrooper up for sale at one point for $50,000. Now, here's the thing. The Stormtrooper would probably not reproduce because what's happened with that animal, it's a pastel DG Exantic. But what's happened is pastel, every now and again, pastel will lose its color.
Correct. Or it gets
right?
browner, it
Or
changes
it
its
even
color.
goes black and white.
Right.
Okay. Because I've had.
Exantic, correct?
Well, it can go black and white off its own back without Exantic. So I had a pastel Gene Woma that went black and white.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, I had a friend breeder who had a pastel calico that went black and white. Pastel can just completely lose all its color pigmentation. And what I think happened with the Stormtrooper was John landed on the pastel DG Exantic, but that pastel went through a color change.
Okay.
Now, I know he's had eggs from it or he's produced from it, but think about this. If I'd have got $50,000 and I'd have brought that animal, I would have brought that for marketing. Now, if every show you went to, you took the Stormtrooper and put it on display and you advertised that, guys, come and see the Stormtrooper at my table. How many people do you think could come to your table?
A lot. And then they're gonna look at your snakes, and obviously they can't afford us. Let's say that let's be real, like probably maybe 1 in 10 is gonna afford a Stormtrooper, but of those 10, they're gonna look at your table. Maybe they can afford something else. Like, hey, I got this snake from the guy that produced the Stormtrooper. You know what I mean?
So what you do, you'd use the Stormtrooper as a ploy to bring people to look at your snakes. You're not interested in selling it.
Right.
You're interested in marketing it. And I learned that from Mark Mendek when he brought the Marvel ball, what he labeled as the Marvel ball, which was the lemon pastel super stripe. That animal made him more in sales just through marketing than it did actually buying the animal. And it was $5,000 at the time, which was a lot of money. But he made more from marketing that animal on his website, at his table. People had never saw one. He was like, wow, look at that. So you imagine you brought something like Stormtrooper and you'd got that on display at your table at Tinley. How many people would come past your table to look at that or video it or to Instagram it,
Oh, yeah. That's the prime example of the special Pompeii. Like, how many people went to his table to go see the special Pompeii? Exactly. That's a great example of it. But, if you're there, you're going to look at his other snakes that he has that's maybe more affordable to you. It's a great marketing strategy, man, for sure. And that's why you see that's I guess that's why I never thought about it like that, man. That's why you see those like that's probably why Justin does it, Canova and stuff like that. Like he'll bring those high dollar snakes that aren't for sale, but everything has a price tag on it, technically. But you're bringing those people to your table to, I like it. It's smart.
Yeah, and that's where you've really got to think. Like, you've really got to think. So when I made the double het sunset pied clutch, they are also Posset Ultramel. I made 2 males, 4 females, so 6 animals. I got offered £30,000 or $30,000 for that clutch, and I said no. Then he came back and said, "I'll give you £40,000." And I had to think about that, but then I thought, and I turned it down. Now I turned it down because if I first of all, I want that clutch is for me. I made it for me.
Right.
But if I sold him that clutch for $40,000, let's say, and he produced the Ultramel Sunset Pied,
it's worth that one snake is worth more than that whole clutch.
again, going back to marketing, you imagine my table, my setup. If I posted, come and see the Sunset Ultra Male Pied, everyone.
Everyone's gonna go see it.
Exactly. Then you've still got the parents. Then you've got the offspring.
You're
So you
breeding
imagine exactly 2 years, 3 years of breeding that project. You know, it's worth more than $40,000.
Yeah.
So you've really got to think about how you do things, because you don't want to sell stuff, but at the same time, you've also got to be aware of upgrading your collection. And if
Right.
that animal can bring you the money to upgrade your collection, it might be worth doing that.
Oh yeah. I remember watching Miguel's video from Always Evolving. He made, it was like a chocolate DG, some crazy combo, and he got offered, I think it was like $80,000 for it. And he turned it down because
Yeah.
you know, he's like, I can make way more money, you know, breeding this animal than I can, you know, selling it. Like, yeah, the money, and even Billy from Mutation Creation says it. You know, it's the same thing. You know, like I got offered, you know, this amount of money for this snake, but in the long run, that money's nice. But you know, if I sit there and I sit on that snake or whatever for a couple of years, breed it, especially if it's a male, I can breed him to 5, 6 females, and I'm gonna make triple or quadruple my money back than what I was to sell it.
Let me give you some insight into 2 projects.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Pompeii project. Justin said that it's very hard to make a Pompeii, and
Yeah.
it is super hard.
And they're still going for $20,000-$30,000.
Yeah. It's okay. It's super hard to make it. What genes can you add into it to make it better? Now, here's the thing. Not only is it hard to make a Pompeii, it's super hard to add an extra gene and to
Right.
know that all the genes are in that snake. So again, yellow belly, red stripe, spot nose, black pastel. You now have got to add something else. So that guy added special.
Right.
Now, he couldn't be 100% certain that that's what it was, but that's what it.
World's first. You know, probably never made it. So I mean, but you're just guessing.
Think about it. It's theoretical ID. You don't know until you breed it.
Right.
So unless you're using supers, then you can say it's this, this, and this.
For
Now,
sure.
that's a problem, because if you sell a special Pompeii for $40,000, you've got to hope that it's in there. Now, if it's not, now as Ozzy says, you know, if you're breeding an animal and you're going to sell that animal, you say that it's this, the seller, and the buyer agrees that it's that. So you both agree it's a special Pompeii.
Right.
Okay. Here's my $40,000. Right. Thanks very much. We agreed. That's what we both see. Okay. Right. Okay. Job done. To put another gene in that without making it look worse is very difficult. Now,
Yes.
if I said to you, okay, well, let's just use something that has got a good super. Let's use chocolate, right? Okay, so you can pick up a super chocolate, pretty affordable nowadays, you know, without making one. So you pick up a super chocolate. You take that animal, you'll breed it as a male, you'll breed it to a monarch, and then you'll breed it to a clown. Okay?
Okay.
And what you do, you take, you know, everything in that clutch is chocolate from both clutches. Okay.
Right.
You take the monarch. Exactly.
Right.
You take the monarch project, you breed it back to each other, and you make super chocolate monarchs. Yeah. You there?
I'll be right back. I gotta take a
I've got you. Yeah.
No, you're
So
good.
you make super chocolate monarchs. Okay. The same time you're doing it with a clown. So then you make super chocolate clowns. Okay. You then take those 2 animals, super chocolate monarch, super chocolate clown, breed them together. Everything is going to be super chocolate, but now they're double het. Okay. You breed them back to each other, you're going to produce a super chocolate monarch clown very easy. The beauty of that, you're only using one gene, and the super is amazing. And now we're working with double recessives. Now we're working with a pattern mutation, clown, and now we're working with a color mutation, monarch. That animal is just going to absolutely be amazing.
Oh, push the buttons.
There you are.
There we go. I'm back. I had to go back. I had to take a piss real quick. Whew.
That's okay. So that animal now, you've got a super chocolate monarch clown. How many of them have you seen at Tinley?
Not, I don't think I personally haven't seen any. I don't know if because you've been in it longer than I have. So
I've not seen any, but that's one example of working with a good quality incomplete dominant like clown or Wookiee or Bang or Orange Dream or
right.
Ancient. Just working with that one co-dominant that's got a great super, putting it into your recessives, then crossing them back, and you're going to make supers. So you're going to guarantee your odds are going to be higher or going to be greater.
Right.
Now,
and it's worth them extra money to get your supers, like your super your super bangs
in the
super,
beginning.
Whatever. Yeah. It's worth that extra money because you know that gene is going to be in every single baby.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. And again, if you're working with double recessives, it's even better because the super form is a good super form. So that's why I say to people, if you are going to work with genes like like black pastel, yellow belly, spot nose, you've got to be very careful where you go with it in the future.
Yes, for sure. And that's also like if you want, because like I watch videos as well that someone wants this codom in these double heads because let's just say that you have a double visual, you give a DG hypo, whatever, but like you want chocolate into it, but you don't hit the odds on it. So like why not just I'm just gonna say screw the odds, I'm just gonna buy a super chocolate, and then I'm gonna make chocolate double heads, this and this, and then I have the possibility of bringing the siblings back together, and now I have the possibility of even one upping it and hitting a super chocolate, DG hypo or DG like whatever, you know what I mean?
Whatever you want to work. Yeah. I brought off Bob Vu. I brought a Cypress, Pinstripe, Mojave, Cypress, Pinstripe, Mojave, Black Pastel. There was Spot Nose in the mix.
Was there?
But let's just leave Spot Nose out of it for now because I think mine does have Spot Nose. The sister had Spot Nose. Anyway, chocolate. Okay, het clown, female. Fantastic genes in a female. So she's het. So that's great because now all I've got to do is breed a leopard clown to her to produce some amazing animals. Now, people, you can see the Mojave, you can see the Pinstripe, you can see the Cypress, you can see all the other genes. The one thing you can't see is the chocolate.
Right.
So people are like, well, how do you know there's chocolate in that, Gav? Well, the mom was a super chocolate. I don't need to see the gene. It's in there,
Right.
So it's one of them that you've really got to, working with supers is going to help you a lot,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, supers for sure. You can't go wrong with supers. I know they're a little bit more pricey. Everyone can't, afford them, stuff like that. So, but I'm hitting up my hour and a half, Gavin. That's about like where I cut off at. I would love to bring you back on the podcast, man. I had a great time with you. And I'd love to do it like when you're in your snake room, show off some of that orange bang that you have.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
So for sure, cause I know like your little man's getting tired and stuff and whatnot. So I know you need to take care of him. So
thank you.
I'll let you do that and stuff. So I won't keep you on here for too long, dude. But it was fun, man. I had a great time with you. So
vice versa. Yeah, it's been great, and thanks for everyone for tuning in. I'm sorry I haven't been able to read the comments, but I'm on my phone, so I'm struggling. But thanks for everyone for tuning in.
It's all good. Hey, make sure you follow the channel, Gavin. Like I said, we're going places, man.
Yeah, definitely.
More bang off of you.
Yeah,
100%. I'm a big fan of it.
100%, bro.
For sure. So we'll be in talk with that and stuff. So make sure you guys, we're doing the 500 subscriber giveaway on the channel, doing a pair of Het Pies giveaway, free shipping. Like, comment, subscribe on that. I'm going to throw Gavin's intro on that one more time. Gavin,
Thanks,
you for
guys.
joining. I want to have you back on it here in a couple of weeks, whatever.
Definitely.
When you're in your snake group, let me know. We'll set that up. Have a good night,
Definitely.
bro. I know it's late over there, dude. Thank you.
Cheers, bro. Take care.
Yeah,
See you
man.
guys. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you, all my viewers
Bye-bye.
that watch this. Thank you so much for your support. It's been fun, man. See you guys.